Hey guys, so I have my 9-week postpartum update for you guys, and this is probably going to be my very last one and my last belly shot for you guys. I have dropped down to the weight I was when I first got pregnant, and that weight is not my comfortable weight. I was about 20-25 pounds over what I usually am because of just taking hormones, the stress of trying to get pregnant. I had really gained 20 pounds. So then when I got pregnant, I gained almost, I think it was like 27 or 28 pounds, and I dropped those completely right now. So I do have some work to get back to what I feel comfortable in my body in, but I wanted to kind of show you guys that I am back at my weight when I first got pregnant. And I do have kind of like a little pouch in the belly area, and the doctor told me that's pretty normal, especially for people who get C-sections. It just kind of happens like that, so it's going to be a little bit more of effort for me to decrease that if I am ever able to. If not, I might turn to alternative methods like school sculpting or one of those things. So we'll see in the long run. And yeah, so since then, Sebastian, we have discovered he has reflux. When we took him to his 1-month appointment, we were able to get him diagnosed by the doctor. It was very heart-wrenching for me to watch him be in pain. I just had this motherly instinct that I knew something was wrong, because after every time he would eat, he would just cry uncontrollably. It was just so horrible. I mean, if you have a baby that cries a lot and is just up all night and he doesn't sleep well, you know, it just gets to you, and emotionally it really got to me, to the point that at my 6-week post-op, I was diagnosed with a mild case of postpartum depression, and it's mostly because I was sleep deprived, especially that first month. He would not hardly sleep at all. If he would sleep for like maybe 2 hours, it was a lot, and he would sleep mostly on my husband's chest because of his reflux. He is in pain if he sleeps on his back, but as most people know, they recommend to avoid sudden infant death syndrome for babies to sleep on their back. So it was it was very hard for me because of the fact that he likes to sleep. He's a belly sleeper. He likes to sleep on his belly, especially for the reflux. He gets a lot of pain, and it was really heart-wrenching for me because here I am forcing him to sleep on his back, and he would only sleep like 20 if 30 minutes, and then he would be crying hysterically because he's cranky that he's not sleeping well. He's cranky because he's in pain, and it was just horrible. So we would take turns watching him sleep, and the only way for him to sleep was on his tummy, but then of course we would watch him like a hawk because I was so scared that he would stop breathing or anything like that. So this day, he's still a tummy sleeper for the most part. He does sleep on his back from a little bit better now, but for the most part, he sleeps on his stomach because he gets a lot of pain from the reflux. And I don't need anyone to write me comments about how that's bad for your baby. I have talked it over with my pediatrician. She knows that he has reflux, that's one of the symptoms is that he does not sleep well on his back because he has you know, that coming back up, and it's painful for him. We also have him sleeping at an angle, and he also gets his diaper changed at an angle, and all those things help with the reflux. But overall, it's very scary because, you know, they tell you all these things that could happen to your baby, and you're scared to death that he'll stop breathing. And it really got to me emotionally. I'm kind of learning to be to go with my motherly instincts more, and so he does get naps and he sleeps on his belly. We keep watch on him with the baby monitor, or I'll just do whatever I have to do right there next to the crib and watch him, because of the fact that he will just not sleep on his back, and it drove me crazy. It really did, because of the point that I was just so scared that something was going to happen to him. And when you're a first-time mom, you become just like so paranoid and you're already over emotional. You're already you know, super scared about anything that's going to happen to your baby. And so it just made me 3 times times more paranoid. But, you know, it's just something that I've had to deal with. And I know a lot of people, you know, say, oh, this, that. People, everyone's going to put in their 2 cents with your child. But I think in the end, you're their mother. You know what's best for them and what's going on with them. And yeah, even though it does take us more time to watch him and to, you know, take turns and things like that, I'd rather him be comfortable and sleep well than cry nonstop. Like, I mean, he just would not stop. And it got to the point that I was only sleeping like an hour, 2 hours a whole night. And, you know, it is impossible to function like that. Which leads me to my next thing is postpartum depression. Like I said, on my 6-week post-op, I was diagnosed with a mild case. I was prescribed Zoloft. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about postpartum depression enough. I feel like there's a taboo that, you know, something's wrong with you if you admit it. But I don't know, I'm pretty open to admitting it that, yeah, I had difficulty. I have never cried as much as I have in the last 9 weeks. Compared to the 35 years of life that I've lived. It has been something so hard. No book, no video, nothing can prepare you for motherhood except for like one-on-one experience. Like when you are in the moment with your baby day in, day out, like putting up with every single little cry, being there for them, attending to every single need. There's, you know, nothing prepares you for it at all. And you can buy 30 books that say how to put them to sleep, how to do this, how to do that, how to make them happy. But each baby is so peculiar and so different. What your baby likes might not be something my baby likes. Toys, pacifiers, I mean, the list goes on, and each child is so different. So that's something that I feel like I'm starting to realize and just get into my head that, you know, I'm not a failure. I am okay to be his mother. God gave me him because I could handle him, because I knew what was best for him. And that's something as new mothers that I feel like a lot of us don't realize, is that, you know, you have to accept that not everything is going to be in control and in your hands. That, you know, it's not like by some book or by some video or by somebody else's video that you're going to learn about your baby. Each baby, and even if you have multiple babies, each baby is so different. So, you know, do what works for you and just go with your instincts. One of the things was that I knew something was wrong when he was having that reflux. I could just tell that he was in pain, and sure enough, he had the reflux. So he has been put on Zantac, and that has just turned him into a whole nother baby. I mean, he still cries. He still has his moments, his fussy, his little witching hour, but nothing compared to when he first came home. He was just, I mean, like I said, he just was not sleeping because of the pain. So he was just outright miserable. And if you've ever been around a baby that cries for hours and hours, you will know how desperate you get and how heart-wrenching it is. Like, I would literally just sit there and cry with him. And yeah, I think those were things that really stood out in my postpartum. I wasn't to the extreme where like I wanted to hurt him or hurt myself. I basically was just mostly sleep deprived. I was overly obsessed with watching him to make sure he was breathing. I cried a lot because he cried a lot because he was in pain. It hurt me so much to see him in pain. It was just I think it's one of the hardest things ever, is when you become a mother, you know, you feel what your child feels like. You feel it 3 times more than they do. And it really eats at you. And I think anybody who is a mother who's been through your child being sick or in pain or anything like that can really relate to that. So Sebastian is fully breastfed. I do have quite a few ounces saved in my freezer, and I'm so happy. And that was something that was also eating away at me. And like when I talked to the doctor about my postpartum depression, I didn't even know I had it. I just would cry and cry and cry and just was like so desperate and sad, and even things that like I loved, like YouTube and makeup and all that kind of stuff, just went out the window. It was just like I just didn't even care. I would have meltdowns where I would just cry, even if he was okay and he was napping and he was okay, and I would just start crying, and my husband was like, what is going on? One day I had a complete meltdown, and my husband said, hey, you know, go to the local mall, it's like 20 minutes away, go to Sephora, get yourself something. And I literally cried driving there, I cried in the parking lot, and I cried coming back, and I bought nothing. I didn't feel like anything, I wanted to buy anything. I didn't want to get out of the car. I just got like such like anxiety, like separation anxiety from being away from him. It's almost like ironic, because you want to get a break, like to sleep and to have a moment to yourself, but then at the moment that you get it, you like almost don't want to take it because you're so in love and obsessed with this child, and you feel like you need to be there for them. So it's almost like you're battling your own feelings, and it was really, really hard for me to get to the point that I am now. I feel like I've gotten a lot better in the last 3 weeks, just even being able to talk to my doctor, just letting it out. When I got the questionnaire for postpartum depression, I just started crying and crying and crying. My husband was in the room with me, and then when the doctor came in and we went over everything, and she said, you know, maybe you just need to talk. And once she said that, like I was just like, like I could not stop telling her everything. Like I was like, I have anxiety about going back to work. I feel like I'm a failure as a mother. I feel like it took me forever to get him latched, and I thought this was going to be so much easier, and he didn't latch. And you know, because you see these videos, it's like, oh, you just put them and they look for the breast and they latch, and everything's just so hunky-dory. It just did not happen like that for me. I feel like none of it has happened like that. It's been a really work in progress, and I feel like a lot of times people put on this persona and videos where you feel like, wow, like their child never cries and they just have like happy it's like day with a newborn, yay. And when you have your newborn and they're just like, bah, it's like, what am I doing wrong? But I feel like for the most part people don't show a realistic view of being with a newborn and being with a baby. They will cry, they have fussy moments, they have what people call like their witching hours, where they have hours where they will just be unhappy, they're colicky, they're just gassy or have issues, and you know, they don't have any other way of talking except for crying. So you know, it gets to the point where that can eat away at you, because you feel so vulnerable. You feel like you don't know what you're doing. You feel like you try to go down the list. Is his diaper dry? Is he's fed? He's burped? You know, you go down the list and he just keeps crying anyway. So you're just like, what the hell am I doing wrong? So I really wanted to kind of do this video. I know it's kind of like all over the place, but just to let you guys know, you know, talk with your doctor if you feel like this sadness in you, if you feel like you're just like defeated, if you just don't feel like yourself, and even more if you feel like you know you want to hurt your child, or you have thoughts of it. I didn't go to those extremes. I didn't ever feel like that, because I just didn't. It just didn't go that way. I felt more like guilty because I had prayed and prayed to have a baby. Me and my husband went through 3+ years of trying and having a lot of you know, infertility, and not like unknown infertility, and not knowing and trying to conceive, that I almost felt like guilty that here I was crying and not knowing what to do and unhappy about this baby when I prayed so much for him. Like, how could I do this? Because I wanted this child. Why am I acting like this, you know? So it's kind of, you go through different kind of emotions. It was really good for me to also talk to my doctor, because she kind of explained how your serotonin levels decrease, your synapses don't connect. So a lot of times they start looping, and instead of like connecting your brain, the synapses the nerve synapses go to your brain and tell you how to function. When you have a child, when you're postpartum, those synapses start, she almost said like they start going into like a whole same circle. So a lot of times people call that like mommy brain, where you don't know where you put anything. You're kind of like not functioning well, and it's mainly caused because your nerves aren't working, your synapses, your serotonin's low, and then on top of that, you're sleep deprived. You have this baby crying all the time, especially if you're breastfeeding and they're cluster feeding and you're waking up every single hour. You know, it can get super, super overwhelming, and you know, it gets to the point where you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. Something's going wrong. You know, I'm going crazy. That was like one of the symptoms that I felt like I'm a failure and I'm going crazy. Like, I don't even know where I leave my cell phone anymore. I don't know where I leave my head if it wasn't attached. You know what I mean? So those are things that really that I went through a lot. So I feel like a lot of people should be more open to talking about postpartum depression. And yeah, and if you need to be medicated, be medicated. I did start taking the medication, the Zoloft, but it was horrible. It gave me severe diarrhea and nausea, and so I decided to just take myself off of it. I only took it for about 2 days, but the pain that I got in my stomach was just overwhelming, so I just decided to knock it off. And especially since I didn't have a severe case of postpartum depression, my doctor especially felt that it was mainly caused by sleep deprivation, you know, my baby having so many issues, like for him being jaundiced. I was an emergency C-section, was something that I wasn't expecting. You know, those kinds of complications was what made it like worse for me emotionally. So I am 18 minutes into this video, so sorry. So yeah, so that is mainly like what I've been through, but he is doing so much better now that he's on the Zantac. He's like a whole new baby, and just know that if you're going through it right now, know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things will get better. You'll start learning how to kind of deal with things a little bit better and adjust yourself. It just can be like really overwhelming at the beginning. I've also learned that sometimes, like, if he starts crying uncontrollably, it's okay to like leave him in the crib somewhere safe, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you know, just take, and I'll just go step outside his door and just breathe, just do some breathing exercises, and then go back to him. You know what I mean? So if you feel like you're going to a point where you're overwhelmed, take a minute, take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's okay to let them cry 5 or 10 minutes. I know a lot of people will frown upon that, but he's gonna, if he, like, especially my son, there's times where he's cried uncontrollably for hours. So for me to let him go and just let him cry 5 minutes in the crib is not gonna be a difference of him crying on top of me 5 minutes. So it just gives me a break to get myself together and be a better mother for him. And I have to give a shout out right now to Adriana. She is a fellow YouTuber and a fellow mommy. She reached out to me when she found out that I had a baby, and she has been such a great support. I can't even tell you how many times she has helped me through the worst days, and just like encouraging words. Also a Facebook group that I found was Milky Mommas for breastfeeding moms, and that group has really been a support as well as you know, my best friend Rooney, and my, you know, and just a few friends in life, in my ordinary life as well. It's something that you do need a support system. Also, my husband being there when the doctor explained everything was super helpful, because he kind of, I mean, he's always been supportive and he's helped me so much with the baby, but you know, he kind of just like did not understand like what's going on. Why do you keep crying, you know, like nonstop. There was times where he would just walk in on me and be like, what's going on, like, again, or why are you crying, you know? So it really helped him be more informed on what was going on with me as well. Okay, so for the last part of this, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my belly. This is 9 weeks postpartum or post-op, and I'll show you guys my C-section scar as well. And yeah, I still have a long way to go as far as like getting fit, about getting back to my original size before I started this whole infertility. So I have about 20 pounds I need to lose. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself just because I feel like I don't want to feel like that pressure, especially I'm already dealing with like going back to work, my baby. So it's just something that I'm going to work at little by little. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Okay, so this is my post belly. As you can see, I still have the little brown line going straight through here, and all the stretch marks are still kind of reddish. If anyone has any recommendations, let me know. I've been using coconut oil and bio oil, but they're still kind of like purpley and reddish. This little pouch that I have here, the doctor says is really normal, especially for C-sections. My belly was never like this before, but so we'll see in the long run. If anyone has any exercises or stuff that I can use for that, let me know. And I do have like the side stretch marks still, and they're still kind of reddish. Some of them have turned white, especially on this side, as you can see. And yeah, this obviously just comes from being pregnant and your body stretching. And yeah, so this is what my belly looks like. I am nowhere where I want to be, but I'm just learning to accept that, you know, I'm not perfect and I'm just going to have to work at it little by little. So that is what it looks like right now. And yeah, so, and let me show you guys my C-section scar. That's what it looks like. I really like the fact that she gave me like a really low bikini cut. And yeah, that is what it looks like. And that is the end of this video. I know this is pretty long. I was talking about how I wanted to do really short videos, but these baby videos, I wanted to be really informative. So I'm sorry if I blabbed on. I'm sorry if this one was kind of all over the place. But thank you guys so much for listening. I hope this helps someone. If you're struggling through postpartum, don't be afraid to tell your doctor, tell them your symptoms. Don't be afraid to voice what you're going through, and have find someone to be your support as well. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try to answer them. Like I said, I'm kind of busy nowadays, so I don't really even get to go through comments anymore, but I do appreciate the love and support. Thank you guys as always for watching, for subscribing. If you want to be part of my little channel, I do beauty videos, and now I'm going to be doing more mommy baby videos as well. Definitely subscribe, hit that little red button. Love you guys, and until next time, bye guys.